Welcome to Trading Lounge and the European indices. We'll cover the DAX, the FTSE and the AEX, and starting with the DAX here on the daily chart here, we're looking at wave 3 to wave 4 here. We're looking at that as an A wave here, a B wave over here. This is the 50 and the 61.8% retracement level, and then down for wave C. We're currently working with this level here, 12,500. The 500 is a important level, and let's go in and drill in on that here. So from the 4-hour chart here, we've got this move up from wave D to wave E here. We're looking at it as well, there's different ways to count it, and in fact it's quite difficult to count it within this little space here, and I'll look at that in a moment. But wave A to here, wave B to here, and wave C to here. It's also possible to, while we're here, to count this wave A here and leave wave B here, because this little move up here appears to be in 3 waves here. So we could look at this as an A wave here, a B wave up here, and a C wave down here. It doesn't look like a C wave, but it can count as 1 and 2 in here, and 3 here, and 4 here, and 5 here for wave B. Not that it makes a lot of difference within all of this, because we're still left with wave B here. Now the next thing here is that the strong move up through here is in 5 waves here. Okay, so then it gets a little bit tricky within this space here. So I'll look at this now in the 2-hour chart before we talk about this gap here. So going from the 4-hour chart to the 2-hour chart here. So as I mentioned, we can, from wave D here, we can count this as A wave here, then an A and a B, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for B. Not that it makes any difference, because we're still left with this move down through here, and it doesn't count as 5 waves up here. That's the point. So it is, we need to count it as corrective. I suppose there is a case for calling this wave 1 and then an A wave here, and then a B wave here and a C wave here for wave 2 as pretty much as an expanded flat correction. But we don't need to go there with that just yet. As I mentioned, we do have 5 waves in this leg up here. So we could call it wave A in a correction, or we could call it wave 1. This all in here gets a little bit messy in here, and sometimes because this trades pretty much around the clock here, then we can compare it to the cash market. So taking a look at this here, for instance, this move in here, and then comparing that to the cash market, which would be here. So the move up here has got 5 waves in it, as I mentioned before. We've got 1 and 2, a nice gap for 3 and 4 here, and then we've got a little 5-wave structure in here. So we could call this wave 1 here, then an A wave here, a B wave here, and a C wave here for wave 2 here. And then up for 1, an A and a B and a C down here for wave 2 here, and then the move up here. It's a little bit tricky to count this here, so that's why I'm looking to count it as wave up for an impulse wave of wave 1, an A wave, an A and a B and a C for the B wave here, and down for the C wave here for wave 2 here. I suppose it's possible to put wave 2 over here as well, but that doesn't really fit well when I look at the cash market here. It's much better off having this as the A, the B, and the C wave here for wave 2, then an impulse wave to the upside here, and then the next leg starting there. So that's what I've done here in terms of wave 1, wave 2 here, wave 2 here, and then 1 and 2 here, and then wave 3 here and 4 here, and then we've got this little wave 5 up through here that should come onto this trend line here at 12.6 or just above here. We'll drill into that in a moment. But if that's the case, then it would still leave this as the top of wave 3 here, then an A and a B and a C for wave 4, and then up for wave 5. And the important thing here to understand is that this is 12,500. So 500 is a 5 is the second strongest number. So we can see that we've got, in terms of the trading levels, we've got the most common pattern is the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, then the corrective pattern that would play out here, coming back to this space here, coming back to this space here roughly, and then having another move to the upside here. So in this case here, we've got the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC pattern here, and then a push up. So we can push up here higher. And when we look at the, have I got that on the 4-hour chart? Yeah. So the 50 and the 60% retracement level for the wave B is actually higher here. So the 28, the 12,650 here, 12,650, because between 500 and 800, the halfway mark plays out as quite strong here. And also too, we can't call the 500 here as support yet, because support takes a little while, and support would require the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then the corrective move here. So it could fail from this point here too, realistically. So we would take this as the first high here as a trigger, then this trigger here to go up. So if this was going to move up, so we don't have this. This is not support yet, and obviously we've left a gap here as well that the market's going to fold back and move into with all of this. So coming back into the 2-hour chart here. So pretty much we're dancing across the 500 level yet. So we just need to be, because it's not a very easy count, all of this here, then we need to be working with the trading levels as support and resistance. And we know that that a move up in a fifth wave here would come back and fold in on this as well. So and obviously this has got to do with the event in Syria, and there's obviously more to come from that. But we know that we've been moving up, and we've been on the long side. We've had no, even though we're looking for short trades, we've had no evidence of short trades to the upside in these markets yet. And this also goes for the US markets as well. We've been looking at short trades as well, but we're still long on the Nasdaq and so on, because we don't have any evidence of a 5-wave structure to the downside yet. So obviously 5 waves to the downside is what we're looking for, and we just don't have that. All these moves down through here in the US markets and here have been in 3 waves. So we could have shorted below here, but obviously the market at 8 o'clock this morning in Asia has gapped up. So we need to stay with the bull trend until proven otherwise, and that's what we need to do, and that's what we're going to do. So I could move this here up into this space here, but I don't want to do that just yet, because I need to have a look at this correction that's going to come into play here. Yes, we could get this as a top in here. Maybe I've counted it wrong in here, and that wouldn't surprise me, but we'd still need to see 5 waves down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down. And even when we get that, we're not going to miss much, because we're still going to get the retest back up here, and we'll go in from that side if that's going to be the case. Okay, so we're doing all the right things. You know, we're being cool about it, and we're waiting for the evidence to fall into place. We know what we're up against in terms of the 500 level here. We know that at some point the market would like to come back and cover this gap here. So all of those things, but you know, we still can't go short. We need to allow things to pan out a little bit. So this can push up a little bit higher in here. If I just have a look at the tick chart here, I'll just try and figure this out. I normally would put the 3rd wave in here, you know. So I can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we've got wave 1 here. We've got an A and a B and a C probably to here. This looks like a B wave as well, so I'm a little bit unsure about this little one here, but we could certainly take that to here, but that also might need to be taken to there as well. I don't know just yet about that, but I can see 1 and 2 here and 3. Not 3 to, sorry, 1 and 2 and 3 to here. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to here. So all of this is this one here, and then fourth wave there. Then we've got a little gap up here. I know that's a little fourth wave, and this is a fifth wave. So we're probably at the top of the third here. So we could probably expect to come back to this point before moving higher, or that could be it. I'll do some work in the off markets to have a look at this, but yeah, this gap will be filled at some point. So let's just move on to the AEX, which will be doing the same thing as well. We kind of figured that, I think that I had this here before, and we could put it up. If that didn't gap this morning, then I would have put that there. So we'll just keep this out of the way at the moment too. But here we've got the same thing, the A wave, the B wave, and then 1 and 2 we've had here, a third wave in this case, a fourth wave to here, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 across here, and then we were looking for wave 5 to move to the upside a little bit higher. So I'm not going to worry about this too much either, because once again here, being the 5 here, the 50, the midpoint here is a strong level, so we're going to see a dance across here. So we're going to see something much the same as the DAX here as well. So at the moment we're basically in that little space here, so it can move higher, but we should see a correction back to here, so up into here, maybe a bit higher. I need to sort of do some work on that, have a closer look. I mean, that should be the top for that one really, so let's just see. But at the same time we need to trade signals, so that would be the signal to trade long on over here. If you're long already, then that's fine too, but we may get something of this nature here, but let's just see what occurs at this level. It's going to be sticking there for a while, and we need to see what the US is going to do as well, and the FTSE is going to be the same as well. So we're kind of just sort of splitting hairs here a little bit. I counted this differently here for this particular market, and that's okay too, but the way that I got the best fit here was taking the cash market and the futures market into and trying to sync them together a little bit. And you know, I know this count can also vary somewhat here as well, but we're kind of on track here because we knew that the wave 4 here, even though it was quite small here, now that it's gone more sideways here, we're still looking for that move to the upside. And this level here is really important for the FTSE, the 300 here, because the 3 is always the top of group 1, so of 7,000 in this case, so 1, 2 and 3. And the important thing here is support and resistance on number 3. If we get support on this resistance, on this level here on number 3, if we get a nice test of support, then we look at 5. If we don't get support here, then we look back at 2, and if 2 becomes the resistance, then it'll be pulled down to the 7,000. So we've still got a fair bit of work to do here. But once again, we would still need to see this market here as support or resistance here. So this is either going to have that pattern here, move up from there, or it's going to be moving down here. And at this stage, we've just arrived here, so we don't have, you know, much to work on at this stage. So we're not really going to say or do anything here in terms of looking for a trend. Obviously the trend is to the upside. We know that the other market, the DAX at 500, this at 300, is definitely going to play out here, and we just need to have a little bit of patience with this. So we know a trend here has a beginning, which is the building process, the middle of the trend, which is the stronger part, and the end of the trend, which is a little bit like the building part, but slightly different sort of personality, but can leave the same sort of pattern there. So let's see how the dance goes at the top of Group 1 for this market. Alrighty, cheers.